If you're looking for a show that has formal interviews with few things you can relate to, then this show isn't for you. This is the On the Air podcast starring you, the OTAP Show. What does OTAP stand for? Well, we kind of just told you. These are informal interviews with people from all walks of life, talking about experiences you can relate to. Share in all of the laughs with real stories from real people. Find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Android users can listen on the free Podcast Republic app. Now, get ready for this week's episode. Here's the OTAP Show with your host, Corey.
What up, everybody? It's your boy Smooth Over, aka Real Ghost White.
Hey, this is Nikita, aka Jakari Star.
Yo, what's good? This is your boy Bob.
This is Kaya, aka Black Honey.
Hey folks, this is Corey, the host for Metal for Brains.
Hey girl, she's so pretty.
This is Greg, the infamous New Age Ike Turner.
Kicking it with the homie Corey, aka The Real Shitty. Now you're listening to On the Air Podcast.
And you're listening to the On the Air podcast.
The On the Air Podcast.
The On the Air podcast.
This is starring you.
Starring you.
Starring you.
You want me to yell?
No, I want you to talk to me the way you was talking before you knew I was recording. Like when I hit record, you go down, and I'm like, it's showtime.
Maybe it's your record button. How about that?
It's definitely not the record button. It's definitely not the record button because I've hit record before and not said anything. And the second I let you know that we record, you know what you do? You go from maybe it's your record button to maybe it's your record button.
Oh, I see what you just did there. Okay. All right. I see exactly what you just did.
No, I'm trying to show you what you be doing. Like it's just.
No, I see what you were trying to imply, but that's cool.
I just want you to be cool, baby. That's it. We do this.
Cool.
This happens every time. Every time I hit record, and I let you know. I'm gonna stop letting you know I hit record.
Well, fine then.
We record now. Now watch this.
Watch nothing.
All right, so this is another bonus episode of the OTAP Show, and we're sort of discussing not just the documentary we just watched. We just watched a documentary called the Masks You Live In. It's on Netflix, and it sort of explores
manhood.
Yeah, definitely discuss manhood, but I think a little bit more than just that. Like the origins. Well, that's sort of the same thing, right? So it's kind of like the origins, like where the roots come from of what's defined as manhood and what's defined as masculinity, and I guess by extension, some of the groundwork or the roots or the tracks that are laid for misogyny, which is some of the things that I took from it. Just strictly speaking about the documentary, it's a really, really great piece of work, and I think everybody should listen to it. Thank you for suggesting it. Us sitting here listening, watching it together. I think you watched it. This is your second time watching it, and you thought about me, so that's really cool. It's on Netflix. The Mask You Live In. So check it out. But one of the things I took from it, that made me think about, and I think about this from time to time, but it really kind of hit home in terms of, I think the guy said something to the effect of, it was towards the end, and he was saying, whatever for fathers, whatever you do with your children, whatever you do or whatever you enjoy doing, do it with your sons, because that's what's going to be seen as whatever masculinity is to them. And I thought about it. That's true. Like whatever my dad was into, I wanted to do it. Up until a certain point. I kind of branched off when I realized, he wasn't really into computers and I was. I was like, well, you can be John Henry all day you want to, with your big ass hammer, and I'm gonna go and build a program that'll make your hammer. And it was a really cool experience because I always enjoyed it. I may not have necessarily enjoyed the work, but whatever we did, I enjoyed doing it with him. So, in the event something ever happened to my computers, I do know how to get out and do manual labor. So, but it was really fun doing it with him. They were talking about crying, and how it's not seen as masculine to cry. And I don't know, like my dad was a man's man, and I think in his the entire time, I've known my dad, I've only seen him cry twice, and they were at two funerals. One was his cousin who he was really close with, and the other was his sister. I don't even think he cried at. Well, I wasn't at the other one funeral, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure he cried there, but I've only seen him cry twice. But what were some of your takeaways in terms of things you may not have necessarily known in terms of how males grow up and what's perceived to be masculine or some of the struggles that they go through? What understandings did you take from it?
Well, I mean, to be fair, I'm completely new to the whole idea of what gender really means and stuff like that. I say I'm fairly new to it because it hasn't been until very recently, I'd say maybe really seriously in the last couple of years or so, that I've really taken the time out to, kind of recondition how I view myself and what it means to be a woman, and how I view men and what it really means to be a man. But nonetheless, I think what there are a few things in the documentary where I was kind of like, I didn't necessarily agree with. But for the most part, what I did really like was that it really touched on how, mostly in our culture in the U.S. in America, they didn't really touch too much on other cultures, which I appreciated that because there's not really a need to compare. But what I really appreciate is that they touched on how in American culture, the foundation of masculinity is basically trying to be the complete opposite of anything that's perceived as feminine.
Right.
So showing emotion, crying, being soft. And the one lady, she was like, basically we set men up from the time that they're a boy. She was like, we from childhood we teach boys that it's a bad thing to cry or be emotional or show emotions because that's girly. So we're teaching them that to be feminine is to be less than human. But then when they become older and they treat women like they're not human, then we act shocked.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we set boys up with conditioning them in that mindset. And so, it was, it was really enlightening for me. It was a lot of things that they touched on that I had, never really considered as far as how we shape, boys into men and how we, how we define masculinity for them. We tell them what's masculine and what's not. We kind of don't really give boys the chance to grow up and decide for themselves, their own masculinity.
By the same token, of how they go about, or how they describe going about, not. I don't think the message was you. I don't know if the message was you don't want your son to cry, uh, or if it was just they shouldn't cry as much. But my first thought was like with my dad. Now my dad never, at least I don't think. I'm pretty sure my brothers or some of my cousins have done it, but I don't think I ever heard my dad say you're crying like a girl. But if if it was when I was younger, and if it was something, he'd always say something like to the effect of I'll give you something to cry about, and that was his way of trying to toughen me up to a degree, because I was conflicted at that point of the documentary, because I don't want every time something happened for my son to ball up and cry. There's a certain amount of you should be able to stand on your own too, and suck it up. But I think the wrong way to promote that is by saying, you're crying like a girl, or you're doing this, you know, like a girl. You shouldn't do that, like a girl, because then it's sort of, it puts women, one, in a bad light, and two, it dehumanizes them to a degree, because you grow up resenting that. You grow up, you see women crying and you think, oh, that's just something they do, and you never really fully understand why it is that they're crying, because you've never fully understood or been allowed to understand for yourself as a dude what it is to cry. I had I don't remember what it was, um, but I cried, and it had to be something. Uh, I don't think anything happened. Oh, I know what it was. Anytime I really sit and start thinking about my parents and them getting older, and particularly my dad, because he's much older than my mom. How close we are. Just the thought of him not being there puts me in an emotional state. And one day, it kind of just came to a head, and it's happened more than once. And I cried over that. And I'm talking about as an adult. I remember the first time it happened, I was like 18. I was in a garage or something like that. But as an adult, it's happened. We'd be going out somewhere, and we'd be having a great time, and then I start thinking, man, he might not be here one day, and I'll start crying. But I say that to say this, like, I've allowed myself the opportunity, and maybe it's a shame that it's taken so many years, but I've allowed myself the opportunity to understand what it is to cry. Once you get that cry out, it's like there's something that you've released into the world, and now you don't have that on you anymore. It's kind of like a cleansing to a degree. And once that's done, so now to that degree, I can sort of understand, why women from time to time have cry sessions, or I understand when they say, I need to, I just need to have a good cry, I can't get it out. Before, I'd hear that and I'm thinking, you know just another woman that wants to go and cry. She's crying for something, she's gonna be crying about something, if it's not this or something else. But it's more than just an emotional thing that I've learned. And so, like, with our young men, we sort of deprive them of that. Like, we don't allow them that room. We don't give them that country for that. And the thing I liked most about it is how it just showed, just from the beginning, not just even so much with your family, but when they go out and with their friends, that's projected onto them because their families have done the same thing with them. So, yeah.
They made a point that men are expected to dominate not just women, but other men. So that creates a competition amongst men, which usually results in you solve problems with other men by means of violence or super masculine, hyper masculine violence or some type of, physical combat, which was really, really interesting to me because, I never really thought about it that way. Usually, I think for me, I pictured that, you know, I guess I've assumed that. Well, maybe it's not necessarily an assumption, but maybe it's an observation that male friendships have way different dynamics than female friendships,
How so?
and um, that men tend to take something that could be serious or like for instance, let's say one of the guys in the group breaks up with his girlfriend. Men tend to take something like that and turn it into a joke, or they'll tease each other about it. And whereas, I kind of just figure, oh, that's just something that, men do. But with that documentary, or perhaps just not really thinking about it, that might really be a moment where men would probably prefer their friends or their male counterparts to just be a little bit more sensitive. But I think because masculinity is defined by you having tough skin or being able to take a joke or we don't really do the whole kumbaya sit around hold hands thing like women do. This is how we deal with stuff, so you kind of just take it. And so whereas with women, we mention anything about a breakup or something tragic, it's like we immediately embrace, like we immediately turn into just very, soft and sensitive and very comforting. We provide solace to our friends. So, that's how I've always kind of perceived, like, okay, that's just something that, that's just something that men do. But I've never taken into account that maybe it's just something that men do, but deep down inside, they really wish that there were a little bit more to their interactions or their, the dynamics of their friendship or relationships with other men. It's something I never really considered, that men probably wish that they kind of could, get that type of comfort or support from their other male counterparts. How women, we, embrace each other when we're going through things or when we need the opportunity to emote, in a very vulnerable way.
Well, you know what? Because that's a I've heard that before. That's a common misconception among a dude and his closest friends. Before the joking comes around, the joking is a result of um, it's trying to help ease it, but that's not generally like in a close knit group. That's not generally the first thing that comes out. Usually, what it is it's his friends that are trying to tell him, no, you're hurting and you're fucked up. See, typically what happens is dude comes back to his homies and he is they just broke up. The dudes probably already knew they were going through it at some point, but then it finally happens. First question that a dude asks, and maybe we don't go about it the same way women do, because you guys jump in and you immediately embrace. Our first thought is to sort of give our dude his space, but not be too far. So the way that we do that is we'll ask him. We'll say, "Hey, are you okay? You all right?" And the whole masculinity part kicks in because he's not supposed to quote unquote show emotion, First thing he says is, "Yeah, man, I'm straight. I'm good. It was what it was." And it's usually his homies that's like, "Nah, you fucked up right now, and it's okay." And we usually have to repeat that a couple of times before, he'll slowly start to come around. He may not even ever come out and say how messed up he is, but we know it because we've been there. But when he starts, talking about it, it'll come out at first in anger and it'll come out in rage, and sometimes it'll result in tears. But letting him know, hey, you fucked up, and you don't have to put on for us. Say that 2 or 3 times, and then he starts talking about it. After after some time, after we done hashed out and talked about it a while, then we start trying uh, to reacclimate him back to the world per se. And with dudes, a lot of times after a certain point, we're just tired of hearing this shit. To be point blank, and the reason why we get tired of hearing is because now at this point, now you're just saying the same shit over and over, basically. And it's kind of like shit or you off the pot. Either you gonna go back to it or you gonna move on. But we gonna still be here for you. But we're not gonna keep sitting here listening to the same thing over and over. It's kind of how it is. And then from that point, we'll joke with him and kind of do little light jokes to kind of get him laughing again, to kind of get him back to being human again. Because there's dudes after serious, and I'm not saying that women don't, but just giving from a male perspective, after a serious relationship, dudes go into a very strong depressive state. I actually think women bounce back easier than that than dudes do. And so, it takes a little bit of, counseling there and whatnot. But it's not necessarily we just jump out and we're not there for them. We don't really we crowd around them and we hug them in a different way. And sometimes it takes an actual physical hug. Only the closest of the closest, do that. But that just, whereas that sort of thing is instinctive with women, it just takes a longer time to get there, because we are not taught to how to handle emotion. Which is why dudes typically in high emotional situations, this is why dudes typically resolve their emotions in self-destructive ways. That can be, they become ultra violent, or they start drinking. They want to drink the pain away, or they go out and they be extremely promiscuous, even more promiscuous than what they were. Just a bunch of self-destructive ways, because we learn not to handle our emotions, but creative ways to bury our emotions.
Well, that's apparent.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad I was born a woman.
Oh, you tossing shade?
Yeah.
What about dudes do you find so that you're so that you're not, that you find so disheartening that it? I mean, I'm glad I'm a dude, but it's not because I'm glad I'm born a dude, but it's not because like, damn, y'all do shit such and such ways. I figure I'd learn to cope, but it sounds like you've heard or you've seen something within dudes where you like that pushes you towards your femininity even more.
Yeah, because not so much anything naturally intrinsic about me that makes me embrace my femininity. It's more so of the conditioning by society, or the way that men are nurtured differently Um, you know, it's just kind of like when it comes to, and this is just my personal opinion, when it comes to men, typically in like family structures and how men are, um, nurtured or raised or whatever, it usually seems to be extreme, either extremely hyper masculine, be extremely hard on the boy because we ain't raising no punk, which is not, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Um, but it's either just really like extreme or they're coddled. It's you know, mamas and grandmamas and aunties, everybody, all the women in the family taking care of him, washing his clothes, cooking for him, co-signing everything and calling and paying his bills and just extremely coddled. And generally, which is kind of misogynistic, that women are more so raised to be very capable, because we're taught that you have to be able to do things for men to be suitable to men. So a lot of times we're kind of raised a little bit differently. It's usually work, cook, clean for yourself, do this, do that, but also be very feminine, be very ladylike, and where it can still be equally, stressful to try to have to live up to all of these many different standards. Inadvertently, it kind of it kind of builds us differently. It makes
Well,
us
yeah.
it builds us differently. So with men, it's just like, wow, it's either, you have to be extremely masculine. You have to always be on the lookout to make sure you're not dressing, talking, acting, showing any signs of femininity or homosexuality. It just seems, it just seems like a lot. Not saying that you all go out of your way like on a day-to-day basis to make sure I'm doing something that looks super straight, but it's just that consciousness that you have to kind of wear on your shoulder or your back, where it's like, I don't want nobody confusing me with this, or you know what I mean, like it's just like
You know what, where that sort of thing gets really, really tough at? Yeah, it's an extreme that we learn to deal with. Um, it's one, growing up with it. But that sort of thing gets really, really tough when you go out into the world and realize that you're expected to uphold those extremists of of masculine values by women also,
that's true.
because because a woman telling you that you doing such and such, like a girl, or even using that phrase, like a girl, or anything that's saying, and when the whole reason why you're doing this is to in some forms be impressive, and not only are you not being impressive, but she's in so many forms of fashion saying, you're on my level. One, it's like it's like when she says that, from a male's point of view, he's hearing like, well, I'm expected to be hyper masculine, and she's not even seeing me as that. That sort of brings him down, and so now he's got to try twice as hard. You know what I mean? And it's like her saying that, even like playing into it, kind of is kind of destructive. And that piece for me is what I find to be disheartening, because not only because when I hear that and I see stuff like that on the timeline all the time, and there's nothing wrong with you wanting, a man. I get that, but you're sort of putting down, to a degree, women also, because in order to in so many forms of fashion, destroy this man's masculinity, you have to do it by presenting your half of the human species as something lesser than. Pat Summitt just died this morning. Pat Summitt, I consider to be the greatest college basketball coach of all time and one of the best, one of the greatest coaches ever. Period. In Division I sports, she is nobody, male or female, has more wins than her. Has a higher winning percentage than she does, male or female, and you don't even have to make that distinction. I bring her up because I remember this interview, and she was asked, because she was such a great coach, she was asked, would she ever consider going to coach men? And she looked at the person and she was like, why would I do that? Why is coaching men seen as a promotion? When, she got more wins than all of them. It's like being able to appreciate, what you are and what you're doing. And so when I see women do that, it's disheartening, because to me, that person is lost. You don't realize that you're putting yourself down to put this person down, to put this dude down, because how it's going to affect him and how it's going to hurt him. Does that make sense?
Sure, yeah, I definitely understand. One thing that I mention all the time is that, as long as you have women that subscribe to patriarchy, it's gonna always exist.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw the little conversation that I had with my mom the other day. And it wasn't even like a full blown conversation, but it was something that was just very just me kind of trying to give her a different perspective. So she saw this meme on Facebook, and the meme basically said something like, "Oh, women in 2015 or women these days don't cook like this anymore."
Mm-hmm.
Now, my mom, now here's the thing, my mom's not even super archaic. She's not I wouldn't call her like a patriarchy princess or nothing like that. My mom has a very strong sense of independence, even though she's married and has been for going on 25 years. She's not one of those super ultra traditional women should do this, men should do that type. So I think this is why this conversation was very interesting for us. But nonetheless, so she saw the meme and she was like, well, that don't apply to me because I cook all the time. I love to cook. And, so I looked over and, I saw the meme or whatever. And I was familiar with it because I'd already seen it. And I think I had probably already had commented on it before. But, I saw it and I said, well, Mom, I said, well, yeah, I said, that's true. I said, but that meme is not really celebrating women that cook. It's trying to shame women that don't. And so she was like, well, it's true. A lot of women don't really cook anymore, And I think she might have equated to something like, a lot of women, are into fast food or, something of that sort. And so I said, and she said something like, what's wrong with making sure that your family is fed? She said something like that. And, and I was like, oh, yeah. I said, that's true. I said, that's true. I said, but it's cooking a woman's job. And,
is she a chef?
You know what I meant.
Shit.
And so she kind of just believed in. I was like, is that a woman's job? Is to cook? Is that solely a woman's job? She is supposed to cook. And so, because my mom knows her child, she was like, what point are you trying to make? And so, I was like, I said, do you cook? I'm trying to remember how the conversation went. I was like, you cook. I said, do you do that because you feel like it's your duty to do so, or do you really genuinely enjoy cooking? And she was like, well, I do what I want to do. She's like, but I really enjoy cooking. I said, okay. I said, so if you weren't really into cooking, like if that just really wasn't your thing, do you think you'd do it as much as you do now? And, she kind of thought about it for a second, and she was like, I guess probably not. When you're not really into certain things, you tend to not really do it. I said, exactly. I said, you cook because you enjoy cooking. You don't cook because someone tells you that you have to. I said, nobody tells you you need to be in that kitchen cooking. You just simply do it because you want to. I said, that means it's basically saying women ain't doing their job no more. They ain't doing what they supposed to do, according to who, what society says they should be doing. And so then my mom had like this look on her face like, oh shit. and she was like, like she really looked like, she really looked like, wow, like I guess I never thought of it that way. And that was kind of it, And I was sleepy, so I ended up going to bed. But I know for a fact that she thought about that for a minute. You know what I mean? Like, even if she didn't say nothing, or if the conversation never comes back up, I know that she thought about it. Like, I know she pondered on it, like, And, the point of the matter was, I love to cook. Typically, I mean, I haven't been in my most cooking spirit like that I usually do, but
Yeah,
I
you
love
need
to
to
cook.
figure that out.
That's just something. What?
You need to figure that out.
Boy, bye. Anywho, I love to cook because that's just something that I really love to do. But I don't appreciate somebody making it seem as if I'm supposed to cook because that's the assigned role to my gender. Like somewhere along the line, you were born a girl, so that means somewhere down the line you're going to be required to cook because you were born a female, and that's what females are supposed to do. That I have a problem with. My thing is, I'm not necessarily against gender roles. I'm not necessarily against all of them because I'm pretty sure if I was a lesbian, I still wouldn't want to take the damn trash out. So, if you want to be the more dominant one in the relationship, then yeah, go ahead, kill bugs, take out the garbage, and do all that other nice, hard work stuff that I don't like doing.
Hey, who's taking the trash out in lesbian relationships?
Whoever wears the boxer briefs. whoever got the biggest plastic dick.
So like if you're in a lesbian relationship, and let's say you're not wearing the boxer briefs, right? Mm-hmm. And your woman, like the trash needs to go out, but your woman is having and she's like, you know, hyper masculine, whatever she thinks masculinity is, that's what she is. But your woman is like having a very bad period day. You
Oh my God.
you not gonna take the trash out for her?
I mean, if I had to, but I don't really want to. I mean, I'd do it rolling my eyes all the way to the garbage can and back.
Oh, okay. So on them days when, you know, like if I'm sick and my stomach is like really like tearing up and we need to get that trash taken out, you gonna roll your eyes to the trash to the dumpster? Or that shit just staying in the house because I'm for real a man.
No, I mean, like I said, General ain't that lit. They
I'm,
lit, but they ain't that lit.
you know what the thing is, like I'm either or as it relates to gender roles. Um, I on one hand, I can see, you know, how it keeps the household functioning. I don't like the portion of gender roles that's implied that there is no crossover, that one can't do the other one. I don't subscribe to that. I think that's ignorance.
Right. See, this is what I was saying. Like when I say I'm not totally against gender roles, that means things that things that men typically do or that women typically do. I'm not against that. I'm not against that
Is
because
that because it's a
sometimes
benefit to you?
it's not even necessarily if it's about whether it's a benefit or not. Sometimes things, sometimes the way things are, it's just the way they are. But it's not points against or extra points toward the you being a man or me being a woman.
Right.
It's just sometimes it's just things that we do. But what my issue comes into is the expectation and the entitlement that comes along with what people feel are gender roles.
Exactly.
Like for instance, that one it was one of them one hypothetical scenarios that I hit the timeline,
Oh shit.
and the woman and the man had just got married, and she make like $400,000 a year, and he only makes $40,000 a year. And it says something like, "Oh, she gets the house, and he moving in with her, and she paying for the vacation, da 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 da." And women were like, "I ain't taking care of no man. I ain't finna do this. I ain't finna do that."
See, that
Now,
pisses me off.
now, for me, I'm like, if I make $400,000 a year and my man only makes 40, am I really finna sit here and be that petty and ornery simply because he's the man and he should be taking the lead with his finances?
See,
Like really?
here's the thing.
At what point does common sense and logic defeat gender roles?
The chicks that think like that need to just stay to themselves. Here's the thing, right?
No, I
So,
mean, not necessarily saying themselves, but
no, not the
I
chick that
think
makes that much money. I'm saying the chick that has that thought that
no, I know what you're saying, but what I'm trying to get to is I think the conversation that needs to be had is, are you against gender roles, or are you against the ones that don't benefit you?
that's key. That's usually what it is. That's usually what it is. Because I've seen chicks say how, you know, they not doing this or they not doing that, or they want to do that, does this and that, and you know, but they're not going to do certain, insert whatever gender specific role type thing it is. And then I asked them, well, why why do you expect for a dude to do this, or why is that how it is for you? And they really don't ever have an answer. It's usually something around the lines of that's just what I'm used to, or that's just what I've seen, and that's when I know right there. And it's like, all right, well, yeah, it's just about some shit that benefits you. Having a woman that makes more money than me has never, that sort of thing has never intimidated me, because I've never felt like her making more money than me um, says that I can't take care of whatever my responsibilities are for the household, and it doesn't make me any less of a provider for her. To me, it gives her a little extra spending cash, and um, maybe some extra money toward a vacation or whatever. You know what I mean? So I think in a household, in that degree, I mean, in a household, everybody's got to do their part anyway, whatever that is. But necessary being the breadwinner, because I see women a lot of times that say they don't want to make more than their dude for a number of reasons. One, they don't want to have to deal with that angst that goes with that, and two, I think they see the dude as less of a dude because of that, and to me that's like super weird, because like you should want to get the most you can for yourself anyway. But that doesn't mean that that person is unable to provide for them. If you're in a relationship with somebody, and that person makes more than you, and something happened, and they were unable to make, like they were sick or whatever, are you saying that you would be unable to do for that person because at one point you couldn't make more than they did? That's that's wild as fuck to me, right? So I don't subscribe to that. Like that that's the type of thing when they start talking about breadwinners and gender roles and all of that stuff. That's the part that pisses me off. The other part that pisses me off about perceived gender roles is like if if a woman wants to go off and fly off the handle and tell me what my quote unquote job is, take the trash out because that's your job. All right, so now we bouncing into a whole other area, right? Because I'm an adult, so you don't have to tell me to take the trash out because that's my job. Because the second I say go in there and clank some pots and pans because it's your job, then it's a problem. You see what I'm saying? Like this shit's rude.
Oh my god. Clink some pots and pans.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is my gripe with gender roles. Motherfuckers is avoiding a functional environment simply because it ain't their job.
That's the dumbest shit ever,
that's
man.
That's just some shit I can't get with, because to me, in my, very intolerant as world that I live in, that's just some stupid ass shit. You mean to tell me, and this is gender neutral. This ain't me talking to men or women. You mean to tell me that your ass gonna sit there and be hungry? You in the house 300 feet away from the kitchen. You gonna sit there and remain hungry simply because it ain't your job to cook?
Man, cooking is a basic survival skill. Everybody should be doing that shit.
Amen. Now, granted, we're talking about somebody who loves to cook, so I have no problem with cooking, generally speaking. There's times where I'm tired and I don't feel like doing that shit. But I don't have a problem with cooking. But I don't cook because I'm a woman. I cook because that's what I enjoy to do. But just as much as I like cooking, I also like being cooked for. So if you want to go in there and whip some shit up, you're not finna see me be like, nah. Use the man. I'm the woman. Ain't no cooking around here. Only me. You sit on the couch and you put your feet up, baby. No, not gonna happen.
Hey, but
I
say
was
hey, but say that one time though.
nah,
Just let me see what that feel like.
no, not really.
No, look out for your homie with that one.
I don't really need to.
Hey, just one time
No,
for the culture, for the streets.
no.
Like one time, I'm walking the kitchen. I want you to say it in that accent also. Say no, no, no. Say put your feet up, baby.
No, not gonna
I'm
happen.
gonna be like, oh shit.
Anytime you even pretend like you finna turn on the eye on the stove, I'm finna sit my ass down.
Hey, that's cool, but just one time though. Just do it one time for your homeboy.
I can pretend like I'm gonna do it,
That's
and
I
then I'll
mean,
be
I
like,
just want to hear.
and then I'll be like, never mind.
All
You
right.
got it. You got it. But yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, whoever needs to do what needs to get done to make sure that the peace of the household is intact and that everything is functional. Fine, fine, fine. Let that be your role or your job or whatever. But I don't feel like anybody should just be subscribing to some type of a role or a position simply because they feel that that's their duty as their born gender. That's ridiculous to me. That's ridiculous to me. But again, I'm not going to knock people who do subscribe to gender roles or who do have more of a patriarchal way of viewing relationships or household. I'm not going to knock them either because that's fine. That's fine. You do that, and if that's what works for you or for your household, great. However, what are you prepared to do in the case that you can't fulfill that position or that role? Where does that leave you and the other person?
You got to figure that shit out the best way you can.
But my thing is, if you subscribe to patriarchy, be it a man or a woman, if you are a firm believer of I want to stay home, I don't want to pay bills, he should be the one working. If you're a man that feels like I'm the provider, I bring the bread, I do this, do that if that's what in actuality really makes you happy. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that's what really makes you happy, if you have no gripes about that, you know, there's nothing about doing that that's going to make you resent yourself, the other person, or anything, then you do that because that's what makes you happy. But if it becomes man, I signed up for this shit, but I don't really know if I'm down with this shit. Yeah, I think that's when you need to start, reviewing or reevaluating why you feel the need that you need to be subscribing to this shit in the first place.
Yep.
That's just how I feel. But I don't have a problem with cooking. I don't have a problem with I don't really have a problem with any type of domestic thing because for my own self, be it single, not in a relationship, living with somebody, not. I just like a home to feel like a home. That don't have shit to do with me being a woman or nothing. I just like a home to feel like a home. That's just me.
All right, baby. Well, you can home this shit out all the time, all day if you want to, baby. I'm cool with that.
You got it.
Just be sure you go to work in the morning.
Thank you for bringing that up. Here's where gender roles get tricky too, because in 2016, most likely, most women have to work to help supplement the income of the household because this is how fucked up this millennial ass generation is. So most of us have to work. Most of us want to work. That's the thing. I think most women are okay with working and making our own money and doing stuff like that. But the issue is that we decided to go out and work in the secular world, but we didn't disperse any of the domestic roles on the men. We held on to all of that and went outside and got a job. So in actuality, women working these days are more of a benefit to men than it is to ourselves. Because we didn't go get jobs and then say, hey, now that I'm going to be out here working, we finna be splitting all this household shit 50-50. No, we went out and got jobs. And on top of that, we still are the main ones that do the cooking.
We tried to split the shit 50-50 with y'all. We tried to split it 50-50 with y'all. And you know what your timeline said? Yeah, I might as well get a roommate if we gonna split the shit 50-50. You ain't no man.
I'm talking about getting shit done in the household. What are you talking about?
Same thing. The exact same thing. All of that is a part of getting stuff done in the household. You can't just talk about strictly in-house stuff without talking about bills.
Yeah, that's true.
You want to answer some sex and relationship questions?
We have some.
Yeah, we have some from. Yeah, we have some, and plus, you remember that one where we kind of had the little bet about whether the chick was the dude was her first or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, she been answered that one.
What she say?
Hold on, I gotta find it. Give me a second.
If she said she wasn't a virgin, I'm finna roast her.
You remember the scenario, right?
I remember it. Yep.
All right. And if those of you listening don't remember the scenario, just go back and listen to the last sex and relationship episode. It's actually titled Sex and Relationship. All right. So yeah, this is the one where dude told her I think the sex was kind of vanilla. All right. So she emailed back. She says, "Thank you for reading my question. I'm loving this segment. Great job, you two." She talking about me and you. She said, "Keep it up. I asked a question last week about boring sex with my partner. And Pinky is correct. He is my first and only sexual partner."
I knew it. See, I be knowing one day y'all are going to recognize that I am a prophetess. But anyways, continue with the email.
He is my first and only sexual partner, and I probably did get attached because of that. We had sex for the first time shortly after my 22nd, I'm guessing that's birthday, 22nd birthday, and been at it for a good minute. I love playing with myself and get off on my own rather easily and pretty often, but during sex, I just be oohing and awing like a motherfucker because at first I didn't know any better, and now I realize the whole act helps him, and I don't have the heart to stop. He asks, "Did you come?" almost every time after we or he finishes, and when I honestly express my feelings, he says, "You just need to learn how to relax more so you can orgasm." Please tell us, sir, more about how women need to get their orgasm. That was my insert. That wasn't her. Her insert is actually bullshit. We aren't in a relationship, but we're close and feelings were involved at one point. Anyway, you were right and I'm ready to branch out now. But I'm nervous as fuck about exploring because dudes I meet are crass and just plain weird. Should I just stop fucking altogether and wait until Wait until I meet someone I like who actually cares, or keep oohing and awing with the dickhead I've been fucking. I'm gonna start off with the last part. If she, fuck, the answer to that, as far as I'm concerned, is no. She shouldn't just stop fucking. If she's hell bent on waiting until she finds someone that really likes her, um, she, not to saying that dudes are not out there that's gonna really like her, but I think it's gonna take her far longer to actually realize it, especially after this situation. And so she's gonna be withholding out on some sex that she really want, and she gonna end up not fucking for a while. But y'all do that sometimes though. Y'all be like, you know what? I just need to stop. I just need to stop fucking for a while. I'm gonna go and put
Yes,
myself.
because sometimes you have to.
I all right.
Before I get into that, let me answer her question. Here's how I view people and their sex lives. Know who you are and act accordingly. Some of
Yep.
us are able some of us are able to get out there, explore, be liberated, and be okay and go on about our lives. Some of us aren't. Neither are right or wrong. You just have to know. Some people know. I'm just not capable of casual sex. I'm just not that type of person. Sex for me is very intimate, is very important. I need more of a connection with somebody I'm having sex with. There's nothing wrong with that. That is fine. And if you know that you are that type of person, you need to protect yourself emotionally and whatever else from not getting in situations that will cause you more emotional or mental damage. There's nothing wrong with that. What happens is people try to be the opposite of who they really are. And that's where the issue comes in.
That's where the
People
pain starts.
people who are way more liberated, way more sexual, way more able to separate sex from feelings or relationships tend to fall into a trap of trying to suppress that because they think, it's wrong or they feel like they'll be judged. And they end up, being frustrated because they're not really getting to, um, they're not really able to feel or to experience what they really want to do deep down inside.
And they often
So
blame the
know who
person for
you
that.
are. Right, that too. So just know who you are and act accordingly. And there's nothing wrong with whoever you are, whatever category you in. There's nothing wrong with any of it. We're all different. We're all made up different. So just know who you are and act accordingly. If you know that you're the type that you can't really do the casual thing, you're not able to separate sex from feelings and stuff like that. Act accordingly. Protect yourself. I mean, of course, protect yourself sexually, wear condoms or whatever, but I'm talking about just, protect yourself mentally, protect yourself emotionally. So, yeah, maybe she does need to slow down and wait until she finds somebody that she, has another good connection with outside of just sex before she finds another partner. If that's who she is and how she's wired, then yeah, go that way.
I would
But
just
if you're doing it simply just because, oh, I don't want to feel judgy. I don't want to feel, girl, bye.
I would just say, if anything, I agree with you. Wait until if you're gonna wait for anything, wait until you know who you are first, because she'll wake up one day blaming whomever because she can't either express herself how she wants to, or she feels caged or whatever, and that's an imprisonment she's putting on herself, in my opinion. So yeah, you wanna definitely wait until until you at least know who you are, so that you can act accordingly. Don't go out and try to do what you see other people doing, because that ain't for everybody, and everybody can't do what everybody else is do, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
All right, you want to do one more?
Yeah.
All right. This is from Tracy. The subject is long distance. I was in a long distance relationship with a guy for over a year. We talked on the phone every day. I visited him whenever possible. It was challenging at times, but overall things were great. I ended up finding work in his area and made the big move. I thought the long distance was helping us get to know each other better, but in person, he just seemed like a different guy. A guy that I don't really like that much. I realize now that back then, he. we, we gotta stop laughing in the middle of that question. All right. I ended up finding work in his area and made the big move. I thought the long distance was helping us get to know each other better, but in person, he just seemed like a different guy, a guy I don't really like that much. I realize now that back then he usually just agreed with whatever I seemed to like or said what he thought I wanted to hear to get me to like him. Obviously, it worked, and now he can't keep up the act, and I just don't feel good with him. He's as happy as can be to have me here, but it feels like I've been misled. It's like mental and emotional catfish. I know it isn't all his fault, and I accept my part in all of this. He can tell I'm not happy, but he has no clue that I'm ready to end things. What's the best way to handle the situation? You want to take this one first? Or you want me to?
Either either give the real him a shot and see if you end up liking the real him, or call shit off.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with just call it off. She at this point, because I think she's already taken the time to move and get a job in his area. She's either not going to allow the real him, quote unquote, a chance, or she's not going to trust it. That's the real him. And while she's trying to give it a shot, I think she's going to make herself miserable in the process. I think she just need to just bounce and take that and just learn from it.
Yeah, that's probably the best route to go.
Yeah. I'll save those for another day. All right, before we get out of here, you got anything you want to leave us with?
No, not really.
Okay, cool. I got to come up with a real cool sign off. I don't have one of those.
You do.
What's my real cool sign off?
You usually just be like, thanks for coming on the show.
Is that what I do?
I mean, that's cool because you be super, appreciative and whatnot. Man, and that's dope.
I do, man. I guess it's freaking awesome, man. Oh man. Okay. Cool. Well, thanks for helping me out with another bonus episode.
The Uber and Lyft episode was good.
Oh yeah. Check out.
I was saying something.
Oh, you were talking. You were talking. Is that what you're telling me?
I really like that episode. Huh?
I said you were telling me you were talking.
Yeah, I was saying something.
I'm a man.
I said I really like the Uber.
I said I'm a man.
Right. Yeah. I was saying that I really like the Uber episode.
Oh, okay, cool. That's all you were saying? I know you didn't tell me you were talking to say just that.
Because you cut me off.
I ain't cut you off.
You did.
The floor is yours.
Excuse me?
Because you sweep it.
I don't like you. I really don't like you. I have the best boyfriend in the world, but I don't like his ass.
I don't know how that shit worked.
I don't know either. You fucking terrorist.
Whatever, man. I'm the least terroristic person you know.
No, you're a terrorist.
That's definitely not the truth. All right, you about to give feedback on the Uber episode because I want people to really check it out. The Uber and Lyft roundtable.
Wait, so y'all was actually all sitting together when you did that?
Nah,
Oh.
not this time we weren't.
I was about to say, how y'all ass find time to round up a posse of Uber drivers for an episode? You think you the man, don't you?
I mean, that's kind of what I did. That's kind of what I did.
So what was y'all on conference call?
No matter how we did it, man, we was there.
You was where?
We was having a podcast.
But that's what I'm saying. Were you all together, like
No.
physically in person?
Not this time we weren't. No.
That's what I'm saying.
I said no. I answered that. I said no. We weren't. We weren't all together. We did it through Google Hangouts.
Oh, okay. Cool. That's amazing.
Were you about to drop feedback on the episode?
No, I said it already. I said I really enjoyed that episode.
Oh, see, I thought you had more to say after that. Okay.
No.
What was your favorite part?
Hello?
Yeah, what was your favorite part?
Oh, what's the chick name? The one that was talking about the folks that asked her to be a part of an orgy or the threesome.
Oh, Marina. Marina was all the way live. Marina out in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I wanted to be sure I had Uber drivers that at least that spanned the countries. I didn't want too many in just one area. So we had East Coast covered, we had the South, we had the Midwest, and we had the West.
Wait, who was in the Midwest?
Her name was Jessica. She drives in Chicago.
How did I miss that?
You probably didn't listen to all of it.
I'm gonna have to go back.
Yeah, it's right in the beginning.
Oh.
So you ain't got to go back that far.
Whatever.
Yeah, they all say where they're driving from in the beginning. You just gotta be careful when you skipping through it. You just gotta be careful to not skip over the details. What's up?
Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you.
What's up?
So I discovered that I'm blocked by a lot of people on Twitter.
Oh, is this something you wanna have on this show? You want to talk about that on this episode?
Why not?
All right. You blocked by a lot of people.
So in your honest opinion, why do you think that I'm blocked by a lot of people on Twitter?
You know what? I'm gonna tell you what I think it is, because I noticed the same thing, and I can't understand why people would want to do that to themselves.
No, let me tell you, seriously, the other day, you know how now the thing is quoting the tweet instead of really retweeting the tweet. So, somebody will quote something, and you know how you want to see the original tweet or whatever.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm finding out.
And I would go in and be like, nah, bro, you blocked.
I'm going to tell you why I think that is.
And it was it happened 17 million times. I'm like, dude.
I'm gonna tell you why I think it is. I think Because there really is no other reason I could think of, because why would you not want to see our tweets? But I think what happens is we get retweeted a lot. And I think a person just gets tired of seeing a certain name retweeted over and over on their timeline. So I think they block them for that. I think that's the vast majority of my blocks anyway.
I never thought of that.
Go ahead.
I was thinking that, like, and here's the thing, like, I can't help this. Like, I can't help this. Now, I'm not Twitter elite or anything like that. I'm not like, I'm not like up there in like the classic
14,000, huh?
Yeah, that don't make me Twitter elite.
I'm just fucking with you.
But when I retweet people, I tend to get them a lot of attention. And so I've seen people say like, man, when PQ retweets you, that's over for your mentions. And I don't like, here's the thing, like, I want to be able to experience and enjoy Twitter like a normal person.
And you can. I think people have this weird anxiety about coming back to their mentions and seeing hella mentions. I promise you, there's a super weird anxiety. Like I saw Netta say the other day, she tries not to retweet her friends, and I was trying to think, why would she do that? But usually because when she retweets, she's going to, if it's a decent tweet, that's several people are going to retweet it because they're seeing it. It doesn't mean anything malice, but I never understood that. Like if I come back and I see, I got 20, 30, mentions, I'm super curious as to see what it is. But there are people that have a very, very strong anxiety about it to the point where I think it makes them hyperventilate because they fear the worst. And I don't get that, but I think that's what it is. So if they block you because of that, it's a weird self-defense.
I'm like, am I part of Mean Girl Twitter? Am I auntie Twitter?
I don't think that's what it is. I just if that is the reason, I just think it's because of their anxiety about being retweeted. That's all. That's that. I don't think it's any more any less. Or like I said, it's a preemptive strike where maybe they just don't like seeing to say, or it could be they saw something and didn't understand either the context or doesn't understand you. I wouldn't put it past people to have me blocked because of
that's a very good point, because I get a lot of motherfuckers who are very new here. I'd be like, you're new here, aren't you? Because I have a certain humor that can be very dry. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't know me, you don't know if I'm joking or if I'm serious or if I'm being sarcastic. And I can't help that. And I'm not going to be, like, tailoring my tweets to try and keep in mind the people who may not know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I damn sure ain't.
Whatever. No, I'm not saying whatever to you. I'm just saying whatever to people. Like, it's whatever. Like, it is what it is. Like, if you know me, you know me. If you don't, you don't. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. People feel like you can't have more than one style or personality. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can be like, oh, man, I love black men. And then I can crack some very dry humor-ass joke about black men. It's like, these bitches hate us. Mm-hmm. And it's like, dude, like, calm down. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it ain't my business to get. It really ain't my business to get them acclimated to me. I mean, if you want to take the time to understand, that's fine. I don't really care one way or the other. I'm gonna tweet what it is I tweet, and if you don't like it or that particular joke bothers you, you should manicure your timeline and have me muted or blocked because chances are that joke will probably fly again some other day. Now, if you deem it to be highly offensive, please reach out to me and let me know. I don't, from a cultural standpoint, I don't want to shit on anybody's culture. I'll listen to it and I'll hear you. But if after that conversation, I deem it to be all right, you're just being a little too sensitive. Well, you're probably just gonna have to figure out the best way to handle that.
So the thing about me is I already choose my words because I know how I want it to come off. Now, I can't control how everybody perceives something, but I said what I said. Now you want to come and say, "Oh, so you said, oh, you trying?" No, bitch. That's not what I'm saying.
Jesus
I said
Christ.
what I said. Refer back to my tweet because I said what I said. I don't take back shit. Like, I don't take back a motherfucking thing. And I think that might bother some people because they find offense in what you said and they want you to be apologetic that you came off offensive. And that ain't my ministry.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to work that out between you and the God that you serve because that ain't my ministry. I said what I said.
You venting right now?
I kind of am now that I think about it.
Let it out.
No, because we on a show. I don't want nobody thinking I get this serious over tweets because I really don't. But today,
You sound bothered. Who pissed you off today?
ashy niggas.
All right, point them out.
You didn't see all that fucking hoopla on my timeline?
Baby, I don't sleep on your timeline, baby. I'm sorry, baby. I don't camp out in your timeline, baby.
But you follow me.
Yes, baby, I follow you, and I'm aware that you tweet, but I don't see all of your tweets because you don't at me in all your tweets.
So you mean to tell me that your woman was like top 5 dead or alive?
And I could care less. Yep, you're absolutely right.
Wow. I have to reevaluate our relationship.
Oh man, dang.
I didn't sign up to be with somebody that don't worship the ground that I walk on.
I do worship the girl you rock on, just not the timeline you tweet on. That's all, man. Shit.
That's like the most important part.
Oh yeah.
That's what got you here. What you mean?
I mean, you was that was back when you was making yourself visible in my mentions a lot.
What? Wait a minute. Oh, okay.
I got with you, and you just kind of was like, yeah, I'm gonna just chill back over here.
What you did.
I'm gonna chill over here.
What you did. You really just tried to put it out there like I was sweating you. I see what you just did.
You didn't.
I'll let you have that one.
You didn't spend a little bit of time on my block.
No, you don't change it now. You just went from a lot of time to now you want to change it to a little bit of time. No. Mm-mm.
I mean, I'm trying to strike your comfort zone. I mean, hey, babe, I check out your I told you I check out your tweets a lot because your tweets funny as hell. But you can't assume that I've just seen every massacre that's happened in your mentions every day. I'm sorry, that's just not how this shit works.
It's not even every day. Maybe once a week.
Okay, yeah. If it's once a week, it's real easy for me to miss it, baby. If you don't be like, hey, check it out. You know what I mean? And I noticed you be like, hey, did you see it? I be thinking to myself, nah, I actually didn't see that. I'm glad we having this conversation, baby.
Wow.
You spend that kind of time in my tweets, baby?
I don't read your mentions.
Oh, okay.
But I do
Exactly.
read your timeline.
That's what I'm talking about. You make you do you read my timeline as much as like do you make my timeline reading a regular part of your Twitter experience?
It's I go to your timeline
To check to see
to
if I'm
catch
talking
up.
about you.
Like, oh, what was he talking about today?
Oh, that's nice.
Because a lot of times we don't tweet at the same time. So sometimes I'll just go like, oh, okay, what was he talking about today? And it's usually some shit I ain't interested in, but I do it anyway.
Yeah, I got you. That's nice.
Wrestling and shit like that.
Well, I'm usually
Game of Thrones and stuff like that.
I'm usually talking about wrestling when wrestling is on. Um, Game of Thrones is because that's just heavy on my heart right now. But that's super. I liked it. That's super nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm mostly just saying what you said about me.
Yeah.
Which sometimes is nothing, and that's disappointing.
Yeah, so now you know what that feels like.
Man, I tweet about you every single day. Get out of here.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Give me some keywords so I can search them then.
Man, kiss my ass.
Speaking of Game of Thrones, baby, the season is over with. I really want you to.
Yeah, your little chart popped back up on my timeline too.
Yeah. I'm about to.
Your little ragged ass pie chart.
Yeah, that's fine and dandy and whatever, but I'm about to start an online petition. The season is over. Here's the thing.
I'm just not in the mood.
I got you. I'd like for you to get over that, and here's why. The thing is this. I don't want you to make the same mistake I made with the show 24. I didn't realize until after 24 went off the air that it was really best consumed when the show was on the air. I didn't realize that the show 24, each show was an hour out of that day. And I didn't realize that the hour that it came on corresponded with the hour that they were on the show. Now, Game of Thrones is not that intricate, but there are certain things and certain mysteries that if you go and watch it after the fact, there's going to be so much more information out there that it may ruin the experience for you a little bit. And so now I think there's maybe one, maybe two seasons left for Game of Thrones, and I think this is a really good time for you to start watching it. Now I want to start the series over, and I'm willing to start it over and watch it with you if you like that. But yesterday was the season finale, and I really want you to get into it, or at least give it a shot. If you gave it a shot and was like, you know what, I'm just not into it, I wouldn't say shit else.
We've had this discussion.
I know it, and it was and you spew bullshit every time. But right now, I really want you to give it a shot, baby. I want you to put aside whatever this stubborn part of you is, because it's not something you feel. Don't feel like you doing it because somebody else asked you to. Look at it as me trying to look out for you.
I'm doing it because somebody else asked.
No, you doing it because I'm trying to look out for you, baby. You gonna watch it well after the series is over with, and then you gonna really understand why I was trying to get you to watch it while I was going on. I almost made that mistake with Breaking Bad. Almost. I caught Breaking Bad within the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, same here. But I was okay with that, though.
Yeah, I know, because
Breaking Bad starts off slow.
Yeah, I got you. But this ain't Breaking Bad.
I've started Game of Thrones before, and I got to like midway season 2. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. I watched it with all intents and purposes of knowing that I was going to complete it one day. I just ain't ain't got around to it yet.
Could we get around to completing it sooner, please?
What season is it on right now?
Season 6.
What season just finished?
6.
How many more seasons they gonna have?
I think they're going to have 7 or 8. I think if what I remember from the creator, I think he wanted to do. I think there's 14 episodes left, and I think next season is probably going to be a shortened season of 7 episodes, and then they're going to do one more season after that. I think.
Okay, I'll start watching when the next season airs next year in April.
You what? So you gonna skip 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and jump to 7?
No, I said I'll start the series when season 7 starts.
No, when season 7 start, you need to be on season 7. I promise you, I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. I'm gonna start this online petition.
Let's see. Let me look at my calendar. I think that a good time for me to start watching Game of Thrones.
All right, see, that's bullshit.
Well, man, would you, like, Jesus.
What are you watching right now?
Let me finish.
You gotta find a good time to start watching it.
I'm watching hella documentaries. That's what I'm watching.
Oh, okay.
A good time for me to start watching Game of Thrones would be the week of July 23rd.
How did you peg that?
Because I'm trying to find the weekends with the less things to do that I have to do. So I have nothing to do the weekend of July 23rd. So that would be a good way for me to start it. See, if I start something on the weekend, when I go into the week, I'm going to be anticipating watching it while I'm at work. So it's good for me to start on the weekend.
What you doing this weekend?
I have to work this weekend.
All day? What time you get off?
My regular time. Well, I don't know. Actually, I think I'm going to work earlier. But I'm going out after work.
So you don't have to work the weekend of the 23rd?
No.
Okay. All right. Cool.
I might surprise you and start it before then.
I'd like to start watching it with you.
Okay, how about we start watching it Monday?
What Monday?
This next Monday coming up.
All right, cool. If you flake, I'm doing an online petition.
You can actually make an online petition.
I'm so ready to do it. No bullshit.
Where are you going to put the online petition?
Online. Duh. I'm going to put it in my mentions and have people sign it. And Facebook.
And you getting a bunch of people to sign it supposed to do what?
Peer pressure.
Are you new here?
No, are you new here? What you talking about? I'm trying to keep you from blowing it.
Blowing what?
You about to blow it, baby. I'm telling you.
Blowing what?
You gonna miss out.
I'm really not.
Yes, you. Okay.
As long as the app exists, I can always log on to watch it.
baby, this is not. This is something you're gonna want to experience while it's happening, baby.
But I don't binge watch all shows.
That's fine. This ain't all shows. You fucking up, man.
I really feel strongly about this. I'm gonna go ahead and watch it.
All right, thanks for doing the show again with me.
Oh, I forgot we were still recording. You ain't got to put all that on there.
It's definitely going. It's definitely going.
No.
Yeah, it's definitely going.
I'd like to thank our guests for coming on today. And if you would like to be a guest on the show, send an email to otap@writeme.com. Follow the conversation on Twitter by searching the hashtag OTAP, that's OTAP, or following us on Twitter at OTAP Show. You can find the show on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Android users can listen to the podcast on Podcast Republic. Just download the app and search OTAP Show. On behalf of our guest, I'm your host, Corey, and I'll see you back here next week on the Air Podcast, starring you.